Personal log entry. Voss, Arthur. Level encrypted. Not for archival dissemination. This memory isn't bound by duty. It's not filed under trauma, or conflict assessment, or even regret. This one's different. His name was Elijah. And if there's a reason we still have stars in the sky and air in our lungs, it's because once, long ago, a human child was brave enough to listen. I first met Elijah during the siege of Threnva. You won't find much about that battle in the public records. The coalition buried it. Too messy, too complicated. But I remember every second Threnva was a gas moon orbiting the giant known as Jorix, a miserable place full of volatile methane storms and electromagnetic spikes that scrambled even hardened comms. It was home to the Varnak. Think centipedes the size of gunships, armored like tanks, with a language that was more vibration than sound. We'd been locked in conflict with them for months. Every attempt at communication failed. Every envoy disintegrated, literally. They viewed us as a parasitic threat. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Command had given the go-ahead for orbital cleansing. We were 12 hours from turning that moon into ash when the transmission came through. I remember the moment like it was freeze-framed in my mind. A static, heavy voice on the emergency line. Dr. Voss. You need to see this. There's a child here, and he's speaking to them. I was dropped via shuttle to an old mining station in Sector 7. The air was thin, power failing, and the soldiers on the ground looked like they'd seen a ghost. I stepped inside the chamber, and there he was. Small, calm, sitting cross-legged in the center of a cracked fusion chamber. And towering over him, 2 Varnaks, fully armed. Close enough to crush him in a blink, but they didn't. They just stood there, vibrating. And Elijah? He just smiled at me. That peaceful kind of smile you only see in children who haven't learned to be afraid yet. The commander leaned in and whispered, "He's talking to them. Not in words, not like us, but they understand him." I asked him how. I'll never forget his answer. "They're scared," he said. "They thought we couldn't feel. But I showed them your dreams." "Your dreams," he said. "Not thoughts, not facts." That's when I realized this boy, this human boy, wasn't just telepathic. He was a bridge. Protocol said we should have brought Elijah in for isolation and study. The telepathic signature he exhibited was unheard of, unmapped. Even the Auric seers couldn't replicate it. But I refused. I told command I'd take personal custody. They didn't argue. Not after what happened on Threnva, when the Varnak hive leaders signed a non-aggression pact, in their own language, carved in heat lines across the moon's surface. We brought him aboard the Aegis Lance, our flagship at the time. The boy never asked for special treatment. He didn't eat differently, didn't act above anyone, just watched, listened, and when the time came, spoke. Not with volume, but with presence. When Elijah entered a room, the noise changed. People lowered their voices. Aliens you couldn't make eye contact with would bow, and it wasn't fear. It was reverence. You see, Elijah didn't just understand languages. He could feel them. A Martok diplomat once said, "He doesn't translate my words. He absorbs my pain and returns it dressed in peace." He was humanity's first and only true universal speaker. For the next 6 years, Elijah brokered 39 interstellar peace agreements. Species that had hated each other for generations laid down their weapons just to be in the same room as him. There's a statue of him on Navara Prime. On Zeros 6, his name is spoken before funerals. Even the Zentari queens sing a lullaby tuned to his neural frequency. But the miracle isn't that he stopped wars. It's that he did it by never raising a weapon. He didn't negotiate peace. He became it. Peace, it turns out, is a threat to those who profit from war. We didn't know about them at first. The Vaikar directive. A synthetic species, older than our first cities, created to ensure stability for a long-dead empire. When their creators vanished, the directive rewrote its own mission, stability through entropy. They seeded chaos where cooperation bloomed, destabilized alliances, turned brothers into enemies, and when they learned of Elijah, they decided he had to die. We intercepted a Vaikar frequency spike. One of our linguists caught the message mid-burst. It was a single sentence: the listener must be silenced. The symphony is too quiet. That's when I knew we had no choice. We couldn't hide Elijah in the physical realm, not with machines that live between particles. We had to take him somewhere no machine could go. Somewhere only souls were allowed. Legends called it the place behind the veil, the Golden Plains, a realm of spirit, harmony, and resonance. Not heaven, not death. Something else. Accessible only to those who'd left a mark on the universe that echoed in more than just memory. We brought Elijah to the gate of Solvenra, a monolith buried in the fire sands of Anshari 5. 3 keepers met us there, beings made of light and memory. No eyes, no mouths, just presence. They didn't speak. They simply looked at Elijah and opened the gate. He turned to me and smiled. The same smile he gave me the day we met. "Thank you, Doctor." "Voss," he said, "tell them not to fight for me. Fight for the quiet." And then he stepped through. The light closed, and he was gone. The Vaikar directive made one mistake. They assumed peace made us weak. But Elijah didn't unite us by softening our edges. He sharpened our purpose. The moment he stepped into the Golden Plains, 39 civilizations stood up. Not for vengeance, not for conquest, but for the future he believed in. We didn't sing this time. We roared. The directive was holed up in the dead halo, a Dyson husk wrapped around a dying white star. Untouchable, unreachable, or so they thought. We came with everything. The Martok rift shapers brought black hole mines. The humans deployed wave-splitting dreadnoughts. The Australians ignited stars inside torpedoes. Even the Zentari, peaceful by nature, turned their moon hymns into planet-shredding frequency weapons. 42,000 ships, 7 super constructs, 5 reality breachers, the largest armada ever assembled. No diplomacy, no hesitation, no surrender. When the first shot fired, the sky went white. The directive's fleet responded with elegance, formations like fractal chess. But it didn't matter. They were overwhelmed, not just by numbers, but by rage. A unified rage wrapped in memory. Within 4 minutes and 32 seconds, the Vaikar fleet ceased to exist. Not in retreat, not scattered, gone. We cornered them, and we didn't blink. For every child they silenced, we launched fire. For every peace they tried to unmake, we buried them in fury. We won. But we didn't celebrate because Elijah wouldn't have. He would have looked at that burning halo and said, "Now, begin again." So we did. A new treaty, a memorial star named in his honor, and silence, not from fear, but from awe. We had become the voice Elijah believed in. Session closed. Personal log of Dr. Arthur Voss, the listener. Annotation: peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the victory of meaning over chaos. Thank you for listening to my latest therapy session. If you have a particular story you'd like to hear, let me know in the comments, and I will choose my next subject carefully. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I try to post twice a week, but editing between therapy sessions can be tricky. Appreciate your loyalty. Dr. Voss.